Thank you so much to the Asia Learning Forum 2020 for inviting us to share a little bit some of the insights we've gathered from what's been an unusual year. For those of you who are not so familiar, Education.ph is the largest edtech platform in the Philippines. We reach more than 8 million students every year, which is roughly half of our target student population, who are all aged between 13 and 22. And they use all the different services, such as looking for schools and colleges, applying online to some of those education institutions, and figuring out what courses to study, what jobs they can get by the time they graduate, and then also picking up some soft skills such as life skills like financial literacy, etc. The platform is run out of the Philippines. We're about 40 employees, and we've been around for 5 years. Now, we've been pushing for digitization of schools and online education for many years now, and frankly, never quite saw the traction that we were hoping to see on the online education side. And schools were going digital, but at a fairly slow pace. 2020 has been an absolute game changer. We have tripled the rate at which schools have started offering, online application system or online inquiry systems, and we've grown our ecosystem to about 800. And this kind of growth was clearly kicked off by COVID. Similarly, on the student side, so students we found were always much more ready to be online than schools were, but their appetite for online education was much lower, and we've seen this change dramatically. We've seen about a 5x growth in our online education vertical. And we've also seen students be a lot more proactive about figuring out their options. I think what's quite interesting, what's a quite interesting piece of insight is our chatbot, which is an automated way of helping students figure out their path. Used to handle about a few hundred inquiries every month, and then after the pandemic, that actually ballooned to almost 30,000 a month during the middle of the year. And so we're seeing students really investing a lot more time in figuring out their options, because in a new normal, people want to figure out what is like the best path. There's no such thing as a normal path anymore. The other thing though that we find quite interesting is because Education has two sides. We work a lot with education providers, but we also work a lot with brands and corporates that want to engage with the youth and empower them. And I think pre-COVID-19, a lot of brands, a lot of corporates were doing some fantastic things on the CSR side. We're really pushing for some of the SDGs. But what you found is that, with the change in the environment, suddenly brands are no longer expected to just believe in a cause, but they're actually expected to invest in that cause and to actually put their money where their mouth is. And so something that we saw a lot during the pandemic. Suddenly it wasn't just about improving access to education or protecting the environment. You could see just how poorly prepared the Philippines was for the pandemic. And so a lot of the work that we're doing now with corporates is around helping them not just talk to the youth about helping them, but to actually invest in empowering the youth. So we've had some fantastic collaborations with Amazon, with Unilever, with Globe and Smart, with some of the other FMCG companies out there that are really looking to empower the youth, whether it's about financial literacy, teaching digital skills, teaching communication skills, and we're really seeing a lot of investment by corporates. And we think that as the pandemic really highlighted, the very strong inequalities that this country faces, even in a high growth environment, you still have a massive digital divide, you have a massive education divide. And I think that Gen Z feel very strongly about this. And it's actually, I think it's a good opportunity for us as society to invest more in bridging those divides. Now, what are our predictions, if you will, for 2021 and beyond? I think the first one is, whilst we are big believers in the digitalization of education, we also know that when it comes to senior high school and college, the vast majority of students will still want to attend those programs in person, or at the very least in a hybrid model that includes a lot of offline face-to-face classes. And the reason is people are understanding the value of education is not just the academic skills that you pick up, but it's also the socializing that happens, the maturing of the individual, of the students. And from a more practical perspective for the kids who are in high school, it is a certain form of childcare as well that allows the parents to then work during the day. And so we actually think that people will keep going to high school and to senior high school and to college in person as much as they can. But where we see a lot of growth in terms of online services, especially post June 2021, will be in all the adjacent things, whether it's test reviews, whether it's tutors, whether it's personal guidance, etc. These are services where you don't really need the face-to-face element as much. And so going online in a country that's plagued with poor infrastructure, traffic, bad weather is actually a very efficient solution. So I think that will be one of the positive silver linings of COVID, alongside schools themselves digitizing their operations. Our other prediction, if you will, for 2021 is that corporates and brands that want to engage with the youth will really have to do it in a way that's proactive and practical, not just about grand slogans. And I think we're seeing that the brands that are willing to invest in improving the inequality issues that this country faces are doing better, and it resonates more with the youth. And I think we view it very positively because essentially empowering the youth is going to take everyone's involvement, not just an edtech platform like Education or just the education sector or just the government. We think corporates have a big role to play, and so we see them continuing and doubling down their investment in 2021, not just on Education, but in other formats where they can invest in empowering the youth. So look, it's been a very tough year. I think that's an understatement. But silver lining is the education sector is digitizing. Students, teachers, parents are all becoming a lot more familiar with the possibilities of online education, even if that doesn't mean that they want to have a fully online course. It does make them a lot more comfortable with the solutions that have been actually around for a while, but just weren't getting as much traction. So we're cautiously hopeful for 2021, and we look forward to being part of that journey as the education space in the Philippines improves. Thank you.